What's going on, guys? It's BMOS here to talk about my man Arian signing with the Miami Dolphins. Now, I think to most people that follow football even a little bit, this was an obvious move, especially after they missed out on signing Lamar Miller, who they lost to the Texans, and signing CJ Anderson, who re-signed with the Broncos. They were kind of left with quite frankly, probably the worst backfield in the NFL, and probably well on their way to being a bottom five running attack or rushing attack in the NFL in 2016. So I'm a Texans fan. I never owned a J.J. Watt jersey, an Andre Johnson jersey, or a Nuke jersey. It has always been Arian Foster to me. Andre Johnson will always be my favorite player for the Texans, but Arian Foster, I loved his story, how he was undrafted and he made the Texans roster. He got his chance and he took his chance and he ended up being an elite running back in the NFL. So that's just what Arian Foster means to me as a Texans fan, and I'm very happy for him that he found a place like Miami, the obvious place where he is most likely to get a starting job, most likely to contribute, and most likely, to live out the rest of his, probably not live out the rest of his career with Miami, but, continue his career. So anyways, let's talk about the Dolphins running back situation. They're just a shit pile of running backs. I mean, there's no one. I mean, they have Jay Ajayi. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right. He was a fifth-round pick in 2015. In my opinion, an absolute steal. I want to say most had him going in the third round, but I just looked at NFL.com. I think they had him going in the second round. But anyways, he's a big physical runner. He's got fluid feet. He's got hands. He's got the blocking ability to be a three-down back. But he's got some character issues. I think he stole some sweatpants in college. He's been getting in trouble, but he's only averaged 3.8 yards per attempt on 49 attempts for 187 yards and only one touchdown. So he's definitely underachieved. And then you're talking about guys like Daniel Thomas, an underachieving second-round running back from 2011. Isaiah Peed, another underachieving second-round pick, this time from 2012. He's injury-prone. He failed drug tests, so probably not Isaiah Peed. And then you have all these other guys that are just fighting for a roster spot. Now they drafted Kenyon Drake in the third round out of Alabama. I mean, he has all the traits to be a good running back. He's got the size, 6'1", 210, 4.4 speed. He's got the feet. He's got the hands. But he needs to work on his ability to see holes that are going to open up. He can hit the holes that are wide open, but what makes college running backs go into the NFL into great running backs is they're able to see those holes before they develop, and that's what really distinguishes vision in the college game versus vision in the NFL. But overall, he's probably just a developmental back. He'll be a change of pace back year one, but he's going to be a heavy special teams contributor, and that's probably where he'll be in 2016. So the Dolphins signed Foster, 1-year deal, $1.5 million. I think $2 million incentives, so a $3.5 million deal if he gets all of his incentives, and that's about his value. I mean, he's a very good running back. He's aging. He's had injury problems, so that's about $3.5 million 1-year deal is about what I would have given him. But let's talk about before all this. Last year, someone in the Dolphins organization should be in jail right now for misusing Lamar Miller the way they did last year. I mean, the Texans stole him from the Dolphins, and he probably decided to sign with the Texans because the Dolphins just didn't know how to use him. I mean, he's a great yards per carry back. He's got the power. He's got the ability out of the backfield. But at the end of the year, last year, they just stopped using him. I don't understand. I don't get it. And then they wanted to drop him and try and sign CJ Anderson from the Broncos. I mean, what are you talking about? CJ Anderson is a whole tier below Lamar Miller. I mean, I think Lamar Miller is a top 10 back. If you look at his yards per carry, if you look at everything, he's a top 10 back in the NFL. He's going to the Texans with a better offensive line than the Dolphins have. So I think he's going to continue to be a top 10 back in the NFL. I think that's reasonable to say. I mean, CJ Anderson may not even start next year on the Broncos. So I don't really know where the Dolphins' heads are at with this running back situation. But they finally made the obvious decision to sign Foster. So let's talk about Foster. 2015 was a bad year. I mean, he only played 4 games, but He never had more than 3.3 yards per carry in a game, and he averaged 2.6 yards per carry at the end of the year. I mean, by the time he tore his Achilles tendon, and that was that. So he had a horrible year 2015, and that's why he's not worth as much anymore. And then he got injured. So, but beyond that, over his career, he averages 4.5 yards a carry. That's nothing to sneeze at. I mean, Adrian Peterson averaged that last year. Not comparing him to Adrian Peterson, obviously, but he's not a great running back because he's so injury prone. He hasn't played enough, but he can put up numbers. He's an elite zone running back when healthy, obviously, and he's elite out of the backfield when healthy, obviously. So he can still make a difference. He can still be a running back. Probably not a bell cow because he can't stay healthy. But this is his season where he is 30 years old, and that's usually when running backs slip because of debilitating speed, quickness, strength, and durability, quite frankly, which he's already doesn't have. But Foster thrives off his vision, his size, that monster jump cut, the stiff arm, and his hands out of the backfield. All of those don't really necessarily rely on any of those traits that slip for 30-year-old running backs. But his accumulation of injuries over the years is going to affect his durability. It is going to affect his already bottom-tier athleticism. And he's not a great athlete. He's a good athlete, but he's definitely not an elite athlete by any means of the word. But on the Dolphins, he should start. I mean, that's the simple answer. He's not the answer, for the next 4 years, but he's light years above what the Dolphins have now. This was the obvious choice. He'll be a bridge running back until they can find a viable bell cow running back in the draft next year, or free agency period. Like I said in my power rankings video, look for them to get Leonard Fournette, or if somehow they end up in the mid to late first round, Christian McCaffrey. Look for them to get a guy like that because they need a running back. They have the receivers. They kind of have the quarterback. We'll see. I don't think anyone's a big fan of Ryan Tannehill. And then they have all these weird questions on defense with these big signings that haven't really played out very well. But they need a running back. But overall, the Dolphins made the obvious right decision to sign him. I think most people saw this coming. I saw this coming. But I really hope, as an Arian Foster fan, that they don't misuse him like they did with Lamar Miller. I don't think he's going to be the bell cow, but I do think they're going to mix Jay Ajayi and Kenyon Drake. They're going to mix them in. I think Arian Foster is going to win the starting job in a landslide. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. It'll be interesting to see how all these guys play in the season, how Arian Foster fits in. But give the video a like, guys. Comment below. Subscribe. I get a lot of views on my videos, but I don't get a lot of subscriptions. But anyways, I'll see you guys next time.